Hi everyone, I'm Dylan and today I'll be sharing a different topic. So recently, a lot of my buyers are asking me, hey Dylan, when I go to a project, should I be looking at the high floor or the low floor units? I believe this is a question that a lot of people are always asking. Why? Because generally in a development, there are always different floor levels to choose from. Sometimes you can go from the second floor all the way up to the 30th floor. So today, the first thing that we want to run through is what are some of the different floor levels that we can consider. So I'm using two different examples. One is a 2-bedroom, one is a 4-bedroom. Why? Because 2-bedroom and 4-bedroom performs very differently in the market. And what we want to see is that different unit types also perform different ways. And to make it very clear for you guys, we will see all these examples so that you have a better understanding what are the units that you can consider in your purchase. And of course, last but not least, we want to look at some live examples that is currently happening in the market and there are opportunities for you to take advantage of today. Okay, so before we carry on, this is my WhatsApp and this is my Telegram channel. Do help me to scan if you have any burning questions or anything that you want to ask regarding your purchase. So recently I've started a Telegram channel and every day I'll be giving some updates over there for you guys to take a look. And also my previous videos will all be in that chat. Okay, so without further ado, let's start with the first example, which is Commonwealth Towers. So for Commonwealth Towers, we are looking at a 2-bed, 689 square feet. So in this situation, you can see there are two units over here. One is the 3rd floor and one is the 39th floor. If you can see from the side map, this stack 7, on a high floor, you can have a very good view. And on the 3rd floor, you will get just a greenery view. So today as an investor, which one would you choose? I believe many people will always look at the 39th floor. Why? Because it can give you a very good view and most people likes to be on a higher floor. But now let's look at the prices that they have been bought and sold. First thing first, when we see the 3rd floor unit, it was bought at 1379 PSF. And on the 39th floor is bought at 1726 PSF. So from this, right, we can already tell with a 36 floor difference, there is an almost 240,000 gap in terms of the pricing, which works out to be about 6,000 per floor. But when it's sold, you can see the prices that they were sold. One was sold at 1.32, while the others was sold at 1.295. And the most shocking thing is the profits that was made. One on the 3rd floor made 345,000, while the 39th floor made 131,000. And this is a very big difference of 214,000. So why is there such a big difference in terms of the profit? We have to understand, number one, when we come into this development, the entry price is very important. Why? Because when you go in at a very low entry price or a much lower entry price, you have a stronger advantage when you sell. Because if you look at the sale, at the time they were sold, the prices are almost the same. Because in this current market, when people are selling, they will always compare with their competitors. Am I right? So generally, when they compare with their competitors, they will want to price it the same way. And in this situation, you can see, because of this effect, you get a very good profit just by buying at a lower entry price. And now we want to look at another example, which is Gem Residences. In this example, we are looking at a 4-bedroom. So why we want to use a 4-bedroom? Because we want to compare, does it work the same way as compared to a 2-bedroom? In this situation, we see the 4-bed that we are using is a 1249 square feet. So looking at the two choices we have, one is a 5th floor, one is a 25th floor. Based on the previous example, I'm very sure a lot of buyers will be asking me, definitely like that, we will go for the lower floor unit, because from your previous example, we have seen that the lower floor units profit a lot more than the higher floor unit. But in this situation, when we look at Gem Residences, the lower floor unit and the higher floor unit that was bought, the difference of 20 floors is only 97,000 and is about 5,000 per floor. But when they were sold, to be honest, the higher floor actually made 83,000 more. So why is this higher floor making 83,000 more? It's very simple, because when you buy a 4-bedroom in the market, who are the buyers that you're selling to? Number one, definitely is the own stay buyers, because only the own stay buyers will buy the bigger unit types. So we have to be very careful when today you're buying a unit, who are your target audience that you're selling to in future? Because when you're selling to a 4-bedroom owner or a 4-bedroom buyer, these people are generally looking for own stay. And when they want to see own stay, they will consider, number one, is the floor level high enough? Number two, is the view good enough? These are the factors that as an own stay buyer, they will use their emotions to judge. And for that, they were willing to pay a higher premium for the higher floor units if the layout is good. So end of the day, what we want to understand from all these situations is that whether you go to development A or development B, we have to understand very clearly what is your objective in buying. If today your objective in buying is purely for investment, then you have to be very careful who are your target audience that you are looking at going forward. Okay, so now I'll be running through 2 live examples for you to consider in today's market. And both of them, one of them is One Marina Gardens and the other is Narra Residences. Okay, so for One Marina Gardens, we are looking at these 2 stacks. Stack 14, which is the 2-bedroom, and stack 12, which is the 3-bedroom. Take note, these 2 units they are facing over here is actually now to an unblocked piece of land that on a higher floor you can even see the sea view. Okay, so let's dive deep into the numbers now, into their pricing, and we can study further. So what we want to understand from here, right, is how the developer actually priced their units. If you can see for One Marina Gardens, they load a lot of premium on the lower floor units. These are the prices from the 2nd floor all the way to the 8th floor. If we look at over here, right, their jump in prices can go as high as 17,000, while the higher floors will be lower. Later, I can show you more in detail. But if we look at the average pricing that the developer priced it, on a 7th floor difference, it is going up to about 88,000. And per floor difference, you're looking at close to about 13,000. So in this situation, this is how the developer is pricing their units for the 2-bedroom. If we look at the 3-bedrooms, they are also priced the same way. The developer actually load a premium on the lower floor units. For the 2nd floor all the way to the 8th floor, you can see the price difference is almost 105,000. And per floor difference works out to be close to 18,000. So from these 2 examples, in the lower floor units, we can already tell that the developer load a lot of premium in the lower floor units. So in my opinion, if you are going for this development, avoid the lower floor units first and consider the other units. So now look at the 2-bedroom, how they perform in terms of the prices. If we can see the higher units from the 19th floor all the way to the 29th floor, their per floor difference is only 2,001 to 2,002, comparing to just now the one that on the lower floor that has a higher premium. These are the opportunities that you can see in the market because the higher floor units per floor jump is only close to about 2,002, the highest. So in this particular situation, when you're looking for a 2-bedroom for investment, over here, if you ask me, the best way to approach this project is to go from the top-down approach. Meaning to say, you go from the top all the way to the lower floor. Why? Because the lower floor commands a higher premium compared to the higher floors. So now we look at the 3-bedrooms, the one that we mentioned just now. In the middle floors of the development, we can see the per floor difference is about 4,009 to 5,000. So if you are looking at a 3-bedroom in this development, it is better to consider the middle floors. Why? Because once you go up to the 30th floor and above, you will have a very high premium that are paying. Based on 5,000, you just times another 15 floors. You'll be looking at a very high premium if you're going for the higher floors. And if you go for the low floor units, the one that is 8th floor and below, you will also be affected by the premium that the developer load. So in these 2 situations, we can clearly tell, even in a certain development, the 2-bedrooms and the 3-bedrooms have a different way of looking. As an investor, you have to be very clear which are the units that you're looking at so that you will not pay a premium and there is a very high chance that you can get a profit going forward. In this situation, for One Marina Garden, first thing first, for the 2-bedroom, best to look at top down. For the 3-bedroom, best to look at the middle floor. These 2 bedroom types will give you the different premium. Okay, so now let's look at Narra Residences. If we can see from the site plan, this one is the stack that we are looking at. This is a 5-bedroom. And this stack, one thing that we have to take note, very important, is that the facing of here, on the lower floor is facing a pool view. On the higher floor, you're actually facing another block in front, which don't give you a very good unblocked view at the end. So now let's look at the prices of a 5-bedroom over in Narra Residences. If we can see on the floor 8 to 10 over here, there is a very high premium loading of per floor jump, which is 62,000 and 46,000. This jump itself is already 108,000. So average out, if you look at these floors here and these floors here, they are looking at 21 to 22,000 jump. But over here, there will be a premium loader over here that is about 108,000. So in this situation, the best units to consider are definitely on the lower floor. Why? Because first thing first, on the lower floor, you get a pool view. On a higher floor, what you get is just another unit that you are facing into. So this view versus this view, there is a big difference. And the difference is that here you get a good pool view, here you'll be just facing your neighbors. So in situations like this, what we want to consider is definitely to go for the lower floors first. Because number one, you have a better view. Number two, you do not pay a high premium in terms of the pricing. Because once you just look at a 21,000 and you go for a 13th floor, you're looking at a very high premium that are paying all the way to the top, but you don't get a better view. In situations like this, you have to be very careful of what are the prices that you're looking at and what are the view that you're getting, so that you can be safer when you exit going forward. Because for a 5-bedroom, as I mentioned earlier in the Gem Residences example, most of the bigger unit types are always sold to own stay buyers. And when own stay buyers come in and they see that you're on a higher floor, but you're just facing another neighbor, is it really worth to pay that premium? But to them, when on a lower floor and you got a good pool view, there is a chance, a very high chance that they might consider buying this unit at a premium because you still give them a decent pool view. So in summary, what we want to talk about today is very important. First thing first, which floor you buy really depends on the type of bedroom and the entry price. Just like in Commonwealth Tower, when you're looking for a 2-bedroom, what we want to see is the entry price that you're looking. Why? Because end of the day, when you sell a 2-bedroom, there are two groups of buyers, the investors and the own stay buyers. But most of the time in the market, 2-bedroom is always more towards the investors. And what they see is rental yield and per square feet difference. So when you are looking at a 2-bedroom as an investor, you must understand what are the buyers that you are selling to, so that you can be very careful of the unit. For example, today, if you are buying a 4-bedroom that in a own stay area, then you have to know what is the view, what is the layout that this 4-bedroom offer, so that when you want to sell, you know that there is a strong USP that you can sell to these buyers, so that you can get a very good, decent profit. Okay, one very important thing that we want to highlight, not all developments work the same way, right? Like I show you, in the 4 developments that we talk about today, every single development has already proven it is different. So we have to be very careful. Number one, what is the price? Number two, how does the developer load their premium in terms of the available units? Only when you understand that, you can be very sure of your purchase is safe. And of course, like I just mentioned, we have to understand every developer, the way that they go through their pricing strategy. Because every developer price differently. Some people price higher on the view. Some people price on the floor. We have to understand all this before we even decide to go into any unit. I'm not saying that every bedroom type is possible to buy, but we have to be very careful which are the bedroom types that we are looking into as an investor. Because every unit is priced differently. We have to be very clear of this before we put our money into that particular project or particular development. On top of just floor level, there are also many factors that we are looking at, like number one, layout, number two, facing, and of course, the floor level. All these 3 definitely will affect your profit going forward. That is why if you have any questions, please do check with us, scan and understand more. My WhatsApp is over here and my Telegram channel is over here. Like I say, if you are unsure of your particular unit that you are looking into, whether is it in the right price, whether is it in the right floor level, do drop me a message. Let me help you to analyze this whole process so that you can buy a very safe product in today's market. Thank you. I'm Dylan. I hope to see you in my next video.